Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aquarius energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aquarius energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy. Because we've all got our dualistic nature and we have our more worldly, immature, codependent, fearful, insecure type of energy within us. And we have our more hopeful, believing nature within us. And we have to make decisions in our life. Which one are we going to listen to? And we might like to move forward in life differently, but maybe we would have to have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and love ourselves, and our fear and our insecurity and all that can, stop us from moving forward. So some people right now could be debating within themselves, and some other people could have made a decision. And some people are definitely maybe more aligned with their worldly view of life or being about themselves, ego, image, indulgence, self-defensiveness, self-centeredness. Some people are just happy living their life the way they're living it, and they're not ready to move forward in life differently. And we all kind of are inspired to move forward in life differently at different times. And for most of the people in our life, it's okay. You live your life, I'll live my life, and we can wish each other peace, and we realize that we kind of are at different stages and have different dreams. But if it's like a close friend or a family member or a romantic relationship, then it's more challenging because we really want them to move forward with us and kind of be on the same page as us, right? So let's go look at the bottom row. Well, the first top row is the Fool card, and it's the reason why the reading came out. The Fool can talk about in high vibe that you're ready to go on a new journey in life, facing your fears to move forward in life a little differently. In the past, you could have been more manipulated emotionally by your fear, your insecurity, or other people in your life that you had love for. And some people are in relationships, they're working on those relationships. If those people get ready to move forward in life differently, they'll move forward in life differently. Again, we can have people in our friend group or our family group, and we're kind of ready to move forward a little differently. They're not. And so we might, go find some other friends and stuff to go do some of the things that we'd like to do in the world with, because some other people in our life, I don't want to go do that. That doesn't interest me, But if it's a romantic interest, you could feel that some people in your life have other things that manipulate them, that stop them from maybe being more independent, because the high vibe energy is being more independent to live your more authentic life. And we can always be more codependent on other people. And like, if they don't move forward in life that way, we're not going to move forward in life that way. So let's go see what's going on. We have the Queen of Swords, the Five of Swords, the the Page of Cups, the Sun. And sometimes people get stuck right here because in order to move forward in life differently, in the Sun card, it could be, the truth sets us free. And we'd have to deal with the truth of some situation, be illuminated to the truth. And some people emotionally, this is the Page of Cups, they either align with their more emotionally defensive nature because they have mental conflict about maybe loving and believing in themselves. High vibe Leo energy is about loving and believing in yourself, and some people could turn their back to that. I don't have love. I don't have hope and faith and belief in myself. And so some people could live more from their mind than their heart, live from their more defensive nature, could have other people in their life that if they were to live their more authentic life, they know it would cause those people upset, and they're not willing to become more independent of those people. Which could be a friend group, could be neighborhood group, it could be original family group or something. And we all could have been in more codependent energy, is what the pages can talk about. And we could be more invested in these things of the world that we want to manifest, because the Queen of Swords is Aquarius energy represented by the star. And we could have mental conflict about being more independent, loving and believing in ourselves. So we could get in some more codependent relationships, but we could end up being in relationships with people who could be kind of harsh or critical. If they have a harsh, critical inner voice and they haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, they want us to stay in relationship with them, but then they can be kind of harsh and critical to us also. And then we've got to is this how I'm going to keep living my life? Or am I going to deal with the truth of it that I don't like this? And it's causing me some mental conflict to keep staying, aligning with my own defensive nature and being in relationships with other people who are defensive, to maybe being more authentically themselves, more loving. And I could feel that like people are being more emotionally manipulative or using their emotions more manipulatively in a relationship. And if I want to be in more authentic, loving relationships, am I willing to love myself and believe in myself, to wish those people peace, but I'm going to move forward in life differently? Do you want to come with? But if not, I have to get over my own ego, my fears, and my insecurities that could make me keep staying in workplaces, friendships, and relationships where it might be more about the world and the image and the status, and there can be love there, but are people being authentic, or do I feel like people are more in the relationship because it's good for the ego and the image, and we're in a relationship and we have someone to be in a relationship with? It's like, I don't want to be in a relationship more because of my fear. I want to be in a relationship because of love. So sometimes during some of those relationships, some people became illuminated to the truth that they want a more just and fair and balanced relationship with the Justice card. And so then they had to love themselves to get more balance within themselves, because the Justice card is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. And we all could have been more tipped out of balance, making our life more about the world, being more codependent. And then as we learn lessons in life, we learn to love ourselves and get more balanced within ourselves. And in the Four of Wands, we're kind of more inspired within ourselves and a little more confident within ourselves and wanting to be in relationships with other people who've kind of learned some of the same lessons we've learned and are more balanced within themselves and know how to work cooperatively with people in a relationship. And the Seven of Wands, Leo energy, being inspired to move forward in life differently. We all go through phases of life, but I don't want to stay in a certain phase of life forever, more out of fear and insecurity. I want to face my fears. I want to be bold and brave and confident. I want to move forward in life, being inspired more by my hopeful, believing nature than my fearful, codependent, or insecure nature. And we have victory over our mental conflict. The Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy. So this bottom rose reading is bookended by Aquarius energy. And again, for some people, it was just more, those first 30, 40 years of our life were pretty focused on these things of the world that we want to manifest. And all these things that we got to go learn lessons about, and things that we're sure are going to make us happy. And we come in contact with all these different people to help us get clear about what our truth is, what our truth isn't, to realize that we could be in more codependent energy because we really haven't learned to love ourselves and get balance within ourselves, and we're tipped out of balance in more codependent energy. We want these things of the world. There's these dreams and aspirations that we have, and we're trying to find the people in our life who we think are on the same page as us. But we can all have lessons to learn. And some people are more happy always making their life more about the world or about themselves or money or materialism or ego or themselves. And the Seven of Swords can talk about that some people are defensive to love, They get up in their head about love. You got to be willing to take a leap of faith and a risk to do love. If you do love, you get hurt. And some people prefer to live more from their mind and their heart. It's kind of more being strategic. I'm going to stay in my more defensive nature, the Queen of Swords. The feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel. We've all been betrayed in relationships. We've all been in relationships thinking they were going to be just and fair, people going to work with us cooperatively in love, and then people, they got their own issues. Some of them are defensive, some of them are immature, some of them are bossy and controlling, some of them are egotistical, immature, And we've all dealt with heartbreak before, but high vibe people, when they feel betrayed, just like normal human beings, it causes them some mental conflict. But they offer love to their mental conflict. To heal, I have to deal with the truth of the situation. The Five of Swords comes after the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, Libra energy. Things we thought were going to be just and fair, and it didn't work out. We thought we were going to get justice, and it didn't work out that way. And high vibe people offer themselves love. And with the sun, it's like I choose to be in life-giving energy. I'm not going to stay betrayed forever. I have to accept the truth. Not everybody wants to be in friendships and relationships with me. Everybody's where they're at on their emotional maturity level and how they view life, and their idea of the dream life and their idea can be different than my idea. And I just have to deal with the truth of it. And I offer love to the situation so I can heal. And that I can keep moving forward in truth and love from the one sword that the Queen of Swords would hold to the Five of Swords is taking back the Four of Swords. If I was in relationships with people and I was trying to heal a relationship with them, but maybe they don't want to have a new beginning with me, okay. Or maybe they have some issues that cause them mental conflict that they don't want to deal with. I can't make people deal with the truth of some things that cause them mental conflict. And if their way of handling things when they have mental conflict is to take action more from pride or ego or defensiveness, because that's where they're at and how they deal with things. And of course, we all think what we do at any point in time in our life is just and fair with the Justice card. And they might want to keep moving forward like that. And we're like, well, I don't think that is a just and fair way to handle things. I think you're being immature. I think you're being defensive. I think you're being prideful. I think you're being manipulative. I think you're being bossy or controlling. At some time, if there's people in our life that how we want to move forward and, what we view as a just and fair relationship, workplace environment, is different than what other people think is a just and fair workplace or relationship environment, and the actions they take, they justify, and we're like, I don't think that's just and fair. Well, we can illuminate the truth to other people. I don't think it's just and fair. And there's some people in our life that'll be like, in the Four of Wands, it talks about coming together with people and working cooperatively with people in a relationship. Some of those people, if we illuminate that truth to them, that I don't think this is just and fair. I think you're kind of being bossy or controlling or manipulative or deceptive or trying to confuse me about the truth. If some of those people are like, you're right, and they are willing to be more just and fair in a relationship, those are people that we move forward with, and we have victory over getting caught up in our head and our fear and our insecurity, staying in denial of a truth. If everybody's willing to do that, and which some people could be doing in their friendships and relationships and workplaces, then those people all work together from love to move forward in life. And they're all willing to go on this journey together. And we can all have some people in our life, work, friends, community, family, that are doing that with us. But there might be some people who are like, I'm not going. And partly it could be, maybe there would be some truth they would have to deal with, and they don't want to deal with it, and they'd prefer to keep those things hidden in the dark, or maybe they'd have to be more authentic, get out of their defensive nature or their immature nature or their codependent nature, and they'd have to be more authentic and balanced and loving, and they'd have to work through those things that manipulate them. And if people aren't willing to work through those things, people can stay in denial of the truth. People can keep staying defensive. I'm still afraid of being hurt. I've been hurt before. I'd be willing to stay in a relationship if you keep in the Page of Cups staying in a relationship with me, even though our truth is different. And for a long time, we could have stayed in friendships, workplaces, and relationships, and it kind of did seem that what we thought was just and fair and how we took action in the world, one person was kind of motivated by love and the other person still motivated by defensiveness or immaturity or wanting you to be more codependent, or they want you to indulge them in their poor behavior. And, there's some people that are still in that phase of a relationship, and when they're ready to deal with the truth and get more balance within themselves and be inspired from the Four of Wands to the Seven of Wands is the Three of Wands, to kind of realize my dream can't come into reality here. And if I keep aligning with my more shadowy nature, my dreams aren't going to come into reality. If I'm in shadowy energy and then there's people in my life that are happy I'm in my shadow energy of fear, insecurity, immaturity, indulgence, codependency, my dream isn't going to come into reality. Am I willing to see the truth of it and do this work within myself to love and believe in myself and work through those things that manipulate me? So then I'm not manipulated by others. And then am I willing to listen to my intuition and look at life from a higher perspective and keep things in perspective and not get more caught up in my head and my fear and my insecurity, to maintain balance within myself and be more inspired by love and listening to my intuition and my more hopeful, believing nature, and maybe invest some more time, energy, and effort into people in my life who are loving and encouraging and supportive of me, who I don't think are trying to manipulate me for ulterior purposes, that want me to love and believe in myself. But because we have our dualistic nature, we have different types of people in our life. Are we going to align with our more shadowy nature and the shadowy people in our life who might want to be in relationship with them because it makes them look like a shining star in some way? They've got maybe a loving person to be in a relationship with them, even if they use their emotions manipulatively in a relationship. And it can be hard because we can love those people. But at what time do we think we deserve justice and fairness in a relationship where everybody is putting in work and effort to get out of their fear and their insecurity and their immaturity to work together with love? And everybody's got to decide that for themselves. And there's some people that aren't coming to be in a relationship with you because they still could be defensive. They still could have people in their life. Maybe they're more motivated and inspired by ego or image. And if they have someone in their life that is willing to be in a relationship with them, maybe they don't want to be more authentically themselves, be more bold and brave and confident. Hey, I'm in a relationship. It looks like I'm a shining star. I'm good. But if it is more based on fear or insecurity or lust or greed or indulgence or codependency, the truth ends up coming out eventually. They just might not know it yet. And, because the divine wants high vibe energy, which at the big picture kind of represented by God, for people to be more independent and free of these things that manipulate them. Shadowy energy at the big picture represented by the devil. High vibe energy wants us to be free of these things that manipulate us, the things within ourself and the people in our life. The divine will keep trying to illuminate the truth. People can have their more divine inheritance, but they have to get balance within themselves first, and that takes work and effort. You have to offer love to yourself. You have to offset your fears and your insecurity and your past pain and heartbreak with love. To free yourself from those things, to get more balance within yourself. And then you can move forward in life differently because you've worked through the things that had made you feel defensive or hurt or betrayed. And now you're moving forward more inspired, still holding on to your dreams. The typical Seven of Swords is someone holding on to the Five Swords, like, I have a dream. And then the Two of Swords, which is listening to their intuition, is guiding them forward. If we listen more to love and intuition to guide us than fear and insecurity, that's when we're kind of going with the flow of the universe. And some people are doing that right now. Some people did do that. And some other people are like, no, 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 no. I am not doing that. I am sure that the way for me to be happy is not to do that. I might have some mental conflict about how I'm going about things, but, emotionally they might be kind of immature, and for some of them they're kind of egotistical, because pride comes before the fall. We all think we know best, and so it's kind of maybe in our ego that we could make some decisions. I think this is just and fair. And some people in the Four of Wands, they could get in relationships with other people more out of ego. I have mental conflict. I have an idea. I should go get in a new relationship. Then I will look like I have moved on, and I will look victorious, and I will look like a shining star. Why are they in that relationship? Is it because of love? Or was it some other reason? Kind of using their emotions manipulatively. I feel betrayed. I have mental conflict. I have an idea. I'm going to go make an offer to someone who might be loving or warm or encouraging or look successful in the world. And if I go get in a relationship with them, I will look like I've gotten justice, or I'll look like I've healed and I've changed and I'm not the same person I was. But they really haven't changed. They're the same person they were before. Other people really did this work within themselves to get out of making decisions more out of fear and insecurity and pride and ego and competitiveness or pain and heartbreak. They're really operating from a foundation of love. And the other people might think, well, I think it's just and fair. If I have mental conflict and there's someone I can get in a relationship with that will get in a relationship with me, they got free will. They can make their own choice. And if they're willing to be in a relationship with me, hey, it works for me. But, odds are people don't tell people in the Seven of Swords, oh, by the way, I'm only getting in a relationship with you because I'm mad that someone else didn't stay in a relationship with me. Oh, I'm getting in a relationship with you because I have mental conflict about love. Oh, I have mental conflict because somebody saw the truth that I'm more defensive to love or immature. I have mental conflict about the fact that they saw the truth of it and left. So I want to get in a relationship with you to make it look like I've moved on and that I'm not the same person I was, but I really am. That shadowy Seven of Swords, being deceptive, trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, trying to maybe go get in a relationship with someone who doesn't know the truth of who they are. And people can wear a false mask. You're either being truthful and honest and authentic, or you're trying to present yourself as being something that you're not, so that people will get in a relationship with you and move forward with you. And people will stay in it until those other people see the truth. And then they might go back and, some people never want to see the truth. They could think it's just and fair for me to be defensive to doing love. I want to be in a relationship. I want to indulge myself in a relationship, but I don't really emotionally want to let my more hopeful, believing inner child out to play. No, no, no. You could get hurt out there. You let your ego run your life, your defensive nature. We think that's just and fair. You go out in the world presenting yourself as being more authentic and loving than you really are. Let your ego run your life. We think that's just and fair within ourselves. And we'll present ourselves as being victorious and successful in the world, as these just and fair and stable and grounded, emotionally mature, loving people. And we'll go try to go get in a relationship with someone who doesn't know the truth of who we are. And we'll try to get that person to get in a relationship with us. And if we can get that person to get in a relationship with us, maybe even when they do find out the truth, and even when it starts to cause them mental conflict, because, we get in a job, a friendship, or relationship, we'd really like that to work. So we don't have to move away from it to go get in a different job, friendship, or relationship. And sometimes that's what shadowy people are counting on. If I present myself as more high vibe than I am, even when those people find out and are illuminated to the truth, even though they have a dream of being in a more just and fair and inspiring and authentic, loving relationship, because they have fear of having a new beginning, and this relationship, by worldly standards, with the Queen of Swords, the Star card, could look very victorious and successful in a lot of ways, just kind of feeling like you're being more emotionally manipulated and that people use their emotions manipulatively in the relationship instead of being more authentic and just and fair and loving. That because in so many ways it looks like a dream come true, that some people will stay in it anyway because they have fear of kind of just loving and believing in themselves and standing up for what they believe in. And then, like a shadowy person has trapped a loving person in a relationship with them, but they're not authentically aligned with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And actually could be kind of emotionally cold and detached, and it is more about indulging themselves in a relationship sexually and emotionally. It works for them. So long as it works for them, they'll stay in it. But the whole thing is, if someone's in a relationship with you and they aren't in it for love, well, if someone else comes along who seems to have more status, more image, more fear, more insecurity, more willing to indulge them in their ego or their immature ways, or has more money and status and image, they would be deceptive and manipulative to go get in a relationship with that person because it wasn't love that drove them anyway. So that's where we deceive ourselves. We can think, no, this is okay. God, I'll just stay in this relationship. And God's like, well, you can. I think you just might be deceiving yourself because if this person, for one, you're missing out on an opportunity in love. You're staying in something kind of shadowy. And that person isn't building a foundation based on love. They're building a foundation on shifting sand that at any time it could give way because they're really more about themselves than love. And there could be some people that have been trying to put in work and effort to move a relationship forward, kind of indulging someone in their defensive nature, ego nature, don't want to give up on it. And some people, when we're ready to deal with the truth, we're ready to deal with the truth. Some things have been illuminated, but some people still don't want to deal with the truth because when we're ready to deal with the truth, then we kind of got to take that leap of faith. And that's why When we're ready, we're ready. Until we're ready, we won't. We can't make other people be ready. You might know some people that are repeating some old patterns, letting things manipulate them within their own head, within their own fear, within their own insecurity, in their immature nature, in their lustful nature, in their prideful nature, maybe having other people in their life manipulating them. And until they're willing to deal with the truth of it, they're going to keep living their life that way, just like we did. When we're ready to deal with the truth, and we've done this work within ourselves to love and believe in ourselves, that's when we will face our fears to stand up more for what we believe in, and we'll kind of change our life. So then we go up to the top row, and we start out with the card not showing itself. People have to do this work within themselves to detach from harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way, realizing if I don't work through why I would stay in friendships, workplaces, and relationships with people that I think are kind of trying to confuse me about the truth, are more egotistical, are more emotionally manipulative, are maybe more immature or prideful or egotistical, there's a reason I stay. And a reason why I've kept kind of indulging. And we'll all repeat a pattern. And people could have had a pattern of kind of indulge, like, oh, I'm going to make you love me. Oh, I'm going to make you choose love. Oh, I have this hopeful, believing spirit. I'm sure I can change you. At what point in time are we going to quit trying to change people? When we meet people who are kind of defensive to love, when are we going to be like, oh my gosh, you are like a project I am going to take on. I am sure I will make you be illuminated to the truth. I'm going to quit investing my time, energy, and effort into people to try to change them. I should deal with the truth of the situation. If people are defensive to love, I wish them peace. You stay in the friend category. But why do I do that? And they had to look at why do I do that. And when they quit harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way and start aligning with it in a more high vibrational way, they will naturally disconnect from people in their life who harness this energy in a more shadowy way. The Nine of Pentacles. Well, the Nine of Pentacles can just be that maybe we didn't like being single. And we wanted to be in a relationship. And we all like to be in relationships and friendships. But are we going to sacrifice our independence? Knowing our worth and value? Being treated with respect? Just to be in a friendship or a job or a relationship? And we have lessons to learn about knowing our worth and value and being more independent. Becoming more independent from our worldly nature and how our own worldly nature can manipulate us. And then other people can manipulate us because we're in our more worldly nature. And high vibe Nine of Pentacles, Virgo energy, where instead of your long-term goal being more about these things of the world that you want to accomplish, realizing that if I make those things too important in my life, there's other people who can manipulate me because of it. And I need to learn these lessons in life by getting all these life experiences I've had, of all the different people I've met, and the different traits and characteristics and ways of viewing life that people have, of what drives and motivates them, what they think is just and fair in relationships, what I think is just and fair. And we kind of got to go on this journey to learn all these lessons. And when we've kind of learned these lessons, hopefully eventually we get to the point where it's like, I have learned to appreciate what I bring to a friendship, to a workplace, to a relationship. And I do think I'm motivated and inspired by love and treat people in a just and fair way and treat them the way I like to be treated. And I try to inspire people in the Four of Wands, people I'm in relationship with, and I'm loving and encouraging to them for them to love and believe in themselves. And I think I deserve to be in relationships with people who are like that. And then you are more independent of your more worldly nature. You've learned to appreciate your worth and value. And that's what some people don't know about you. And they didn't know that about you when they got in a relationship with you. That you do have hope and faith and belief in yourself. And they might not be very independent, and they are more aligned with their more worldly nature or their kind of harsh critical nature. You should make your life about these things, and this is the most important thing. And you're like, I'm kind of more motivated and inspired to be a little more independent in the world than you are. I don't let the world manipulate me as much as it might manipulate some other people in your life. And then they could have other people in their life that manipulate them. And maybe you in your life and in your family, everybody kind of respects each other as more their own individual. And they're not trying to manipulate and control people. And, and then we can kind of get in these mismatched relationships. And, we're trying to love and encourage them to love and believe in themselves and be more independent. And they're like, no. No, I was never planning on doing that. The things that manipulate me probably might manipulate me all my life. And then they could feel betrayed because you are more independent. And there could be people in their life that didn't like you because you do love and encourage that person to love and believe in themselves and be more independent. They don't like that because they're not more independent in the world. And then sometimes if those people in their life, whether those are friends or family members, are like, you shouldn't move forward with that person, and maybe try to get them up in their head. I think they're manipulating you. I don't think they have your best interest at heart. I don't think, because they don't want some of these people to be more independent of them. I like you to defer to me. I like to be the primary person in your life, even if I'm your friend or I'm your sibling or I'm your parent, I don't want you to be more independent. We don't live a more independent life. We could make our life more about the world and looking like a shining star in the world, and that's the kind of relationships we're in, and the people we're in relationships with make their life about that, and you should make your life about that. You shouldn't be more independent of this worldly view of life. And that's if they had people in their life that were defensive to you. Well, some of those people are codependent on those people in a way for their main foundation of making them feel, it's just their core foundation emotionally. Even if you were married to them, even if you had children with them, you were like a third party to that relationship. That is the primary relationship in their life, And it's like, yeah, you're not very independent. And though I could love you, you have these things that manipulate you that don't manipulate me. And I might have offered you love and encouragement to try to encourage you to see how these things manipulate you, but if you want to stay in denial of the truth, or you're more caught up in the world, or more caught up in being about yourself, I want to be in a relationship with someone who isn't more about themselves, who wants to work together with people from love, cooperatively. So I had to become more independent. When I became more independent, that also could be when they no longer wanted to be in a relationship with me. Because I'm not the same person I could have been when I got in this relationship. And now I'm more hopeful or balanced or loving or inspired within myself. Where, people can always get in a relationship because they felt betrayed, had mental conflict, looking to get in another relationship. But then sometimes we kind of find out we get in a mismatched relationship that, we're not really on the same page either. And that's when people are like, I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. I have to feel stable and grounded and know my worth and value and love and believe in myself. And those are the type of people I want to be in a relationship with. But until I'm that type of person, I'd probably keep repeating this pattern. So I need to do this work within myself to quit being more motivated and inspired in my worldly nature and know my worth and value and love and believe in myself. And in the Eight of Pentacles is looking to the future. In the Two of Pentacles, from the 8 to the 2, letting go of the Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, which could be a philosophy of life. I used to view life a certain way, and I thought for sure that was the way to live life. I'd be happy. That would be like a dream come true. And for a while, it maybe could have been. But again, we live our life and we go through these phases of life, just like we were 18, when we were 21. That was a blast. But then after a while, it's like, I'm kind of ready to become independent of that phase of life. And I'm ready to put in work and effort to pick up my investment, is what the Two of Pentacles can talk about, to get more balance within myself and face my fears to go to the next phase of life. Who wants to come with me? And some people are like, no, I'm not coming with you. And other people are like, yeah, I want to come with you. I'm ready to move forward to the next phase of life. I let go of this way of viewing life that I had lived life at, because that's where I was at life. That's how I viewed life. That's what I thought was just and fair. And I lived my life that way. But then it kind of started to cause me mental conflict, because I kind of realized I was kind of staying in a comfort zone, and it was kind of like my intuition was calling me forward. You're ready to go to the next phase of life. It's time to detach in this old way of living life. So I let go of that philosophy of life, and I've taken the lessons that I've learned and incorporated those into my philosophy of life. And in the Queen of Wands, emotionally, I'm inspired to just kind of like give birth to a new me, being more authentically myself, face my fears, be more bold and brave and confident within myself. And then in the Five of Pentacles, that I'm going to detach. The Five of Pentacles has learned lessons about the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles was a way of living life. We go through this throughout our life. We enter a new phase of life, or like an age group. We cling to that phase of life. That's like the Four of Pentacles. I got a lot of lessons to learn here. I lived my life at that phase of life. I learned the lessons I was meant to learn from that phase of life. I figured out what I like, what I don't like, what should go, what should stay. And then I go on this journey to go to the next phase of life. Just like we did, age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25. And I think we're meant to do that throughout our life. And we could have had some people that have gone on this journey with us throughout that whole thing. Am I ready to move forward in life a little differently? Am I willing to detach? It's kind of like, I lived my life a certain way. I viewed life a certain way. I viewed myself. I viewed the world. I viewed relationships. I viewed other people a certain way. I went through this life experience. I just don't view life the same anymore. I'm not the same person. So I'm kind of ready to move forward in life differently. And in High Vibe Queen of Wands, it's kind of like, in that hopeful, believing spirit, listening to love and intuition to guide me, I'm going to move forward and take that leap of faith. Does everything I go take a leap of faith at work out the way I want? No. But it's more lessons to learn. I've already lived my life at this phase of life, and I kind of learned everything I needed to learn there. Who wants to stay in a certain stage of life doing the same thing over and over and over, where it might be where you're never willing to be more authentically yourself, never feel more balanced within yourself, never feel more inspired to get out of your ego to be more authentically yourself. Some people want to keep moving forward like that because that is their comfort zone. That's fine. Different strokes for different folks. Other people were like, I've got to move on. You can come with, but some of these ways of being that maybe not being more authentically yourself, not being more just and fair, not being more inspired by hope and faith and belief and love, you need to look at life from a higher perspective. You need to get out of your head. You need to get out of your defensiveness. And if not, I wish you peace, but I gotta go. So, what's coming up for some people that are moving forward in life, taking a leap of faith that they might not see coming? Willing to go on a new journey. The Queen of Swords and the King of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Five of Swords. So, the Queen of Swords and the Five of Swords are both Aquarius energy, is how I read them. And I view the King of Pentacles as, in high vibe, it's high vibe Capricorn energy. Shadowy energy represented is also Capricorn energy, which is aligned with our more shadowy, fearful, codependent, whatever nature. High vibe King of Pentacles is I have learned some lessons in life, and I have freed myself from my own harsh, critical inner voice that made me have a lot of mental conflict, maybe about loving and believing in myself, feeling stable and grounded within myself, growing and maturing myself. And I've freed myself from some people in the world who could have been defensive to me healing and growing and maturing myself. Because they could have wanted me to be in mental conflict, because then I'd keep staying in a relationship with them. But if I am offering, when someone is holding the pentacle in high vibe, I interpret that as truth and love. Well, if I'm going to be offering truth and love and being emotionally mature, not as manipulated by my worldly, shadowy, immature nature, but they're still defensive and still have mental conflict about the truth that should be love, well, yeah, they might want me to stay in a relationship or stay at that job, but it causes me a lot of mental conflict because they're defensive to the truth. And as long as they stay defensive to the truth and taking action in truth and love and being more independent and getting more balance within themselves and inspired to be more independent of some old ways of being or living life, then I'm going to hold my sword up to them. And I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. They might defend their more worldly view of life, and I defend a more emotionally mature, loving view of life. We have different ideas of a dream life and a dream relationship and what drives and motivates us. And how did you do all that? The Five of Swords. You could have felt stuck, you could have felt heartbroken, and you meditated on the truth of it, and you looked at life from a higher perspective. You dealt with the truth that everybody is where they're at in how they view life, their emotional maturity level, their idea of the dream life, my idea of the dream life. And you decided to take action in truth and love to stand up for your dreams and what you believe in. And that's what you're investing your time, energy, and effort into. And if there was people in your life who you realized your idea of what's just and fair, or your idea of the dream life is different than my idea, and what you think is just and fair is different than what I think is just and fair. So I wish you peace. I hope it works out for you, but that's not my truth. And I'm going to go invest in people who I do think are more on the same page as me. People who harness high vibe Virgo, high vibe Capricorn, high vibe Leo, being authentic and warm, whose philosophy of life is about learning lessons in life and growing and healing and maturing yourself. Not people who are like, no, no, no. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep making our life about me or these things of the world. Let's not be more authentic. Let's not be more just and fair. Let's not be more inspired by a higher truth and justice. It's like, if you want to make your life about that, go ahead and make your life about that. You just need to find someone else, because I realized that wasn't my truth. And I think as you're moving forward in that way, other people see that you're being truthful and emotionally mature, stable, grounded, balanced, authentic. You're not trying to emotionally manipulate people. You're not in betrayed defensive energy anymore. You're authentic, balanced, and inspiring. And other people are going to want to be in a relationship with you. And some people will take a leap of faith to come get in a relationship with you. Some people from your past, some people from your present. And before you invest in someone, the swords can talk about communication. You're going to get to know people to find out what their truth is of what they think is just and fair. Have they healed? Are they still trying to manipulate people? Are they just wanting to get in a relationship with you to cause someone else mental conflict, to emotionally manipulate someone else? I'm not a pawn in your game. Are they really kind of shadowy, but the people they were in a relationship with wouldn't move forward with them, so now they decided to cause those people mental conflict by trying to get in a relationship with someone who's more motivated and inspired by love? And I think you'll hold your sword up to people. And there'll be some people that might kind of in their ego think they can tempt you with their things of the world that they have to offer you. And you're like, I'm looking for truth and love. You can't emotionally manipulate me in my more worldly nature of pride and ego and lust and greed, because I've already been in relationships like that and they didn't work out the way I wanted. I'm putting in work and effort to be in inspired, emotionally mature, authentic, loving relationships. Is that the truth of who you are or not? And some of those people are like, damn. And they're going to have to go back and try to find someone else. They might have thought, because something hadn't worked out for you the way you wanted, that they think you're still in mental conflict about it. It's like, I've healed from that. I've seen the truth of those people. I thank you, Jesus, for getting me out of that. Thank you for illuminating the truth to me. Thank you for helping me through this difficult time, but I feel stable and grounded within myself. Do I want to be in a relationship? Sure. Am I going to put up with bullshit? No. And that's when some people are like, darn, I thought maybe I could tempt you because I thought you felt left out in the cold and you had mental conflict, and I could be the next person to be the person who indulges in a relationship with you, being defensive to love and it being more about me because I know you're a loving person. And it's like, yeah, I'm a loving person, but I got more grounded within myself, and I'm no longer indulging people in their poor behavior. And I've tempered my loving nature to be more balanced, that it has to be just and fair. Not me being loving, hoping one day people will change. People aren't in this energy, then we're not on the same page, and I'm going to keep moving on. And the people I meet and who might communicate with me, and the people who are in my life that look at life from a higher perspective and are who they say they are, and they're emotionally mature, stable, grounded people who are more independent of their shadowy nature and worldly nature and have healed and been illuminated to the truth, those are the people I'm moving forward with. And I think there's going to be people who will come in to defend you because they see you are who you say you are. And they want to go on this new journey with you in high vibe energy. They also have been in relationships with people who are manipulative and bossy and controlling and presented themselves as loving, but they weren't. And they see that you are that person and they want to move forward with you. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy that they might not see coming? We have the Ace of Pentacles, the King of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Emperor energy. So the Fool card is Aries energy. I view the King of Wands and the Emperor as Aries energy also. So in our fire sign energy, initially, we all could have been more caught up in the world. We all at one time could have been more codependent. We all could have been more about ourselves, and sure, these things would make us happy, and some people still are. Other people looked at life from a higher perspective. There's more to life than being just about myself, indulging in these things of the world, having these things of the world. that if it isn't based on truth and love, it's kind of superficial and shallow. And I want high vibe Virgo energy, which was the Nine of Pentacles, and here it's the Ten of Pentacles, is about a balance. I don't need all the attention. I don't need it to be all about me. I do want some stability and security, but I also want truth and love and deep, meaningful relationships. And some other people are like, oh, that's optional. The most important thing is it be more about me, or I have this certain status or image, or I don't have to grow or heal or mature myself. And other people want to be proud of themselves, that they grew up and matured themselves. What's coming up for the shadowy people that they might not see coming? Well, when people are a little more bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or immature or more caught up in themselves or the world, they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life who are attracted to them, want to be in long-term relationships with them, who are trying to offer them truth and love to move forward with them in a relationship. And if these people are like, nope, not going to do that, I'm defensive to being more authentic or loving in the relationship, well, they're always going to have some high vibe people that eventually see the truth, who make a decision that, I'm inspired to be in these more balanced, authentic, insightful, loving, stable relationships. And apparently it's not them, and they're kind of more about themselves. That is shadowy Aries. And they're in relationships with people who harness a more high vibrational Aries energy. And eventually some of those people are going to decide to move on. I'm going to go find the people in the world who are more inspired to be in a more balanced, loving relationship, who have aren't so defensive, aren't so prideful, aren't so caught up in the world, or think it's just and fair to try to emotionally manipulate people or use the love that people have for them to keep trying to manipulate them. Eventually people get tired of it and they see the truth. I need to decide to move on, to invest in loving myself enough. The 1 pentacle plus the 9 pentacles makes the 10 of pentacles. And people decide to invest in themselves, to love and believe in themselves, to move on from these people. And then these people will feel betrayed, and they could look like shining stars in the world. They could look victorious and successful or attractive or charming or whatever. And they could end up feeling betrayed, and it causes them a lot of mental conflict. But they kind of indulge their more emotionally immature nature, and they justify it. And then they think other people should kind of indulge them in their more immature nature. And people can for quite a while. And then eventually people are like, I'm not going to keep indulging you being more about yourself in this foundation. And if you want to be more about yourself, you need to find someone else to be in a relationship with. I'm leaving. And then these people, probably because they don't want to deal with the truth, they take action out of ego, probably go get in a different relationship to make it look like they've moved on, they're a shining star in the world, and they're just emotionally manipulating someone else. And there's going to be other people, if they have money, status, image, power, attractive, charming, successful in the world, yeah, there's going to be other people that are going to be attracted to them and want to be in a relationship with them. But the people who might end up staying in a relationship with them, it might be because, this works for me, makes me look like I'm a boss. I'm willing to indulge someone to have these things of the world. It's just not maybe because of truth and love. As long as we got those things, I'll stay in it. As long as we get along good enough, I'll stay in it. Money or status or image is what drives and motivates me, I'll stay in it. And some people are going to stay in those situations because that is the most important thing to them, because they're defensive to love anyway, or being more independent of their more worldly nature to go, live their more authentic life. And they make their life more about these things of the world. Well, they'll have those things of the world. Might cause them some mental conflict because they could know that they're in a relationship with someone who is defensive to love, but hey, we got those things, I'll stay in it. They might be in a relationship with someone who's emotionally manipulative, but hey, I'll stay in it. They might be in a relationship with someone who's prideful and egotistical, deceptive, bossy and controlling and stubborn, but hey, I'll stay in it. What are we willing to sacrifice for those things of the world? That's what we have to decide in our free will choice. And some people said, I can't stay in it for those reasons. I feel out in the cold and it causes me too much mental conflict. That is not my truth. I believe in a higher truth and justice. And I believe if I work with the divine and stand up for truth and love, I believe the divine will work with me to bring my dreams into reality. And I believe I will have the friendships and the relationships with people who are more emotionally mature and stable and balanced and loving. If I keep investing my time, energy in people who aren't in that energy, I'm not investing my time and energy in people who I think could be in that energy. So I'm done investing my time, energy, and effort into people who aren't in that energy. And though I got to go through a period of maybe feeling left out in the cold, I'm standing up for my truth, and I'm going to keep being truthful and authentic and loving and encouraging to people. And I am sure I'm going to find people who are kind of on the same page as me. And other people can live their life with people who want to make it more about something else. So there you go, Aquarius energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.